Okay, my friends, as I said, I drag you through the soup with me here now. I just did a video about Pistis Sophia and trying to understand. It's just as complicated as it can possibly be, and it's just you can't understand it until you have some idea about the mud fossils, first of all, and then about the light being the particles of light that make everything, because everything they talk about is light. And then they talk about the material realm, which is the realm of Yaldobaoth and the Demiurge, which was always blamed on Pistis Sophia as bringing that forth. I don't think she brought it forth. That's not what the texts say. If you read them extremely in detail, which I just did, and at the end of the presentation that I did today, I realized, wow, she was tricked. She wasn't the one that brought forth the Demiurge. Let's look into this. This is going to get complicated, and I'm going to start it out showing how she's begging for forgiveness, and she's going to be talking about a flood being brought upon her. Things that I'm trying to understand. Is she talking about the great flood? These words are a little bit confusing. Well, a lot confusing, but you can take them several different ways. Let's just get going. All right, if you're not at all familiar with Pistis Sophia, this is about Jesus Christ coming back to earth after resurrection for 11 years, discoursing with all his disciples and discussing Pistis Sophia and all what happened, and the light invisibles and the 24 invisibles that control everything, and they have partners. I mean, it's just very, 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 very deep. But I think it's so deep that nobody's ever understood it. You just almost can't understand. I was just about to give up. Now I'm going to play this. Just listen. Here it goes. I'm not even going to make a statement. Here we go.
Which so oppressed me with violence took courage, and the light which I had not taken from them, they have taken from me.
All right.
5. Now therefore, O light of truth, thou knowest that I have done this in my innocence, thinking that the lion-faced light power belonged to thee, and the sin which I have done is open before thee. 6. Suffer me no more to lack, O Lord, for I have had faith in thy light from the beginning. O Lord, O light of the powers.
I just want to make one statement, then I'm going to just shut up. It sounds to me like she was tricked and trapped because she wanted to go up to the higher power. And she was already way up there, and she wanted to go into the treasury of light, basically. And they said, no, this is not your realm. And then everybody came down on her. And then the Yaldobaoth was created to drag her down. She didn't create Yaldobaoth. It was created as a trap. All right, let's continue on. And this is going to take a long time. This is big, big, deep stuff.
Suffer me no more to lack my light. 7. For because of thy inducement, and for the sake of thy light, am I fallen into this oppression, and shame hath covered me. 8. And because of the illusion of thy light, I am become a stranger to my brethren, the invisibles, and to the great emanations of Barbello. 9. This hath befallen me, O light, because I have been zealous for thy abode, and the wrath of self-willed is come upon me, of him who had not hearkened unto thy command to emanate from the emanation of his power, because I was in his eon without performing his mystery. 10. And all the rulers of the eons mocked me. 11. And I was in that region, mourning and seeking after the light which I had seen in the height. 12. And the guards of the gates of the eons searched for me, and all who remain in their mystery mocked me. 13. But I looked up unto the heights towards thee, and had faith in thee. Now therefore, O light of lights, I am sore pressed in the darkness of chaos. If now thou wilt come to save me, great is thy mercy, then hear me in truth and save me. 14. Save me out of the matter of this darkness, that I may not be submerged therein, that I may be saved from the emanation of God, self-willed, which press me sore, and from their evil doings. 15. Let not this darkness submerge me, and let not this lion-faced power entirely devour the whole of my power.
She may be talking about the Great Flood, because this is all the material substance, and she's talking about being submerged, and she's talking about a flood, and I don't know. It's just confusing. But I think she was trapped down in the material realm when she was supposed to be in the invisible realm, in the light realm. She came down to try to grab a hold of that higher light power, because the top powers created this light power down in the 12 ranges, 12 eons, where she's not supposed to ever have come. She thought she was going to the light power, which in her mind was above, but it was actually down. And then once she got down into the 12 eons, she couldn't get back out, and they tried to kill her or do whatever they do to her. And so she actually went down even further, down into the chaos, and now she's stuck down in the chaos of matter, where to me it sounds like she's in the middle of the Great Flood.
And let not this chaos shroud my power. 16. Hear me, O light, for thy grace is precious, and look down upon me according to the great mercy of thy light. 17. Turn not thy face from me, for I am exceedingly tormented. 18. Haste thee, hearken unto me, and save my power. 19. Save me because of the rulers who hate me, for thou knowest my sore oppression and my torment, and the torment of my power which they have taken from me. They who have set me in all this evil are before thee. Deal with them according to thy good pleasure.
They set her into all this evil. I don't know, maybe she's an innocent bystander on this whole thing, and you got set up.
20. My power looketh forth from the midst of the chaos, and from the midst of the darkness. And I waited for my pair, that he should come and fight for me, and he came not. And I looked that he should come and lend me power, and I found him not. 21. And when I sought the light, they gave me darkness, and when I sought my power, they gave me matter. 22.
No, she sought the light, but she actually found darkness in the chaos. And when she sought the light, they gave her matter, which is the corruptible stuff. Light is not corruptible.
Now therefore, O light of lights, may the darkness and the matter which the emanations of self-willed have brought upon me be unto them for a snare, and may they be ensnared therein, and recompense them, and may they be made to stumble, and not come into the region of their self-willed. 23. May they remain in the darkness and not behold the light. May they behold the chaos forever, and let them not look unto the height. 24. Bring upon them their revenge, and may thy judgment lay hold upon them.
That sounds like she may be talking about the ones that went against God. He said, bring judgment on them and put them down in the darkness forever.
25. Let them not henceforth come into their region to their God self-willed, and let not his emanations henceforth come into their regions. For their God is impious and self-willed, and he thought that he had done this evil of himself. Not knowing that, had I not been brought low according to thy command, he would not have had any authority over me.
See, they created Yaldobaoth to bring her down, because Yaldobaoth, she thought it was the brilliant light that she was ascending upward. To me, that's the way I take it. But actually, she came down, and then he took authority over her because she's outside of her realm. Everything seems to be associated to be inside your boundaries. And even the giants on Earth, they had to stay within their boundaries. If they left their boundaries, they could be killed. Things like that. I mean, very, very strange. You know, you have to know your place. I guess that's what it's about.
26. But when thou hast by thy command brought me low, thy pursued me the more, and their emanations added pain to my humiliation. 27. And they have taken light power from me, and fallen again to pressing me sore, in order to take away all the light in me. Because of this, in which they have set me, let them not ascend to the 13th eon, the region of righteousness.
That's where she was from, the 13th eon, the region of righteousness. She says, don't let them come up here. These guys are no good. They're bad guys, and they trapped me, and they took my power. Is that what she's saying? I'm not sure.
28. But let them not be reckoned in the lot of those who purify themselves, and the light, and let them not be reckoned with those who will quickly repent, that they may quickly receive mysteries in the light. 29. For they have taken my light from me, and my power hath begun to cease in me, and I am destitute of my light. 30. Now therefore, O light, which is in thee and is with me, I sing praises to thy name, O light and glory. 31. May my song of praise please thee, O light, as an excellent mystery, which leadeth to the gates of the light, which they who shall repent will utter, and the light of which will purify them. 32. Now therefore, let all matters rejoice. Seek ye all the light, that the power of the stars which is in you may live.
The power of the stars. All right, I'm going to go now into my original presentation that I just realized a lot of this stuff at the very end, so I figured I'd precede it. And this is my preceding, and now we're going to go into the original one that I did. So I'm going to start off. It's going to sound confusing because I've just talked to you about things that I just now realized. So we're going to a place where I didn't realize until I did realize, and now I realize a little more. I hope you realize what I'm trying to say. All right, here it comes. Okay, my friends, buckle up for this one, because this is Pistis Sophia again, and I got to be honest with you. I was about ready to wrap it up and just say, forget about it. I can't figure this out. It's just too confusing. But I went back at it a couple more times, and I'm getting a bit of a handle on it. Now, what I was trying to figure out was this 24 elders and 24 invisibles and all that stuff, and where does Pistis fit into all that? Who is she within that realm? I don't think she's in that realm. I believe she's in the next realm up. The 24 invisibles, I believe, relate to the 12 aeons below the 13th aeon, which is up above these 24 invisibles. Now, why are they 24? When we're talking about 12 aeons, you have a male and a female. You have you have a complement to each other. Now, Pistis was up above all that, but she saw even above her. I believe this is how I'm taking it at this point. She looked above her and saw the treasury of the light. And when she saw the treasury of the light, she wanted to make her own. It sounds to me like her own creation, like the treasury of light was making, where it could emanate forward and give out portions of light to the light bearers, the ones that distributed it. And Jesus had a portion of this light, it appears to me. That's how I'm taking it right at this moment. Now, let's look into it a little closer. All right, there's 24 powers. They call them the invisibles, because they're like emanations of thought and they're powers, basically. Divine will, thought, light. But they exist above the material realm. Why? I don't know. But they are sometimes involved in ordering of the heavens or part of divine hierarchy that emanates from the invisible spirit. The invisible spirit apparently appears to be God. And these are emanations from that. Now, Pistis Sophia, I think, was just before God. And in between them and the 24. That's the way I'm taking it at this moment. Now, this gets very involved here. Okay, like I said, this is confusing. This is Pistis Sophia's position, and they sum it up pretty good. This is Chat GPT. Here's where it gets really nuanced, and you're seeing it clearly. It says Pistis Sophia is not one of the 24. So the 24 are below her. She originates from the 13th eon, which sits above the 12 eons and their structures. All right, that puts her above the 24 invisibles. These are the 24 invisibles that give substance to the world, I guess. So it puts her above the 24 invisibles if we consider those 24 as being below or around the 12 aeons. She is still not above the treasury of light. That's where she wants to be. And she is not equal to the invisible spirit. I believe that was her destination, is to try to do this on her own, kind of sneak into it. And it didn't work out well for her, apparently. No. Here's the key. She is in the in-between zone, high enough to be divine, but still capable of desire, error, and longing, which made her desire and long to be in control of everything, and it was an error. All right, it makes her story central to the Gnostic understanding of the fall and redemption of the soul. You could look at it that way. Like Jesus said, he forgives sin if you repent and you just beg for forgiveness. Basically, that's all I'm going to do. That's all you can do. What can you do? Once it's done, it's done. You have to be truly repentful, and you know, you can feel it inside yourself, and it gnaws away at you a little bit. I'm trying not to let it do that, but it has that effect on you when you realize things that you did were just not right, and you just didn't consider them correctly anyway. So what's happening cosmologically? All right. You got the invisible spirit, so that's the God, the one God that does everything. That's the invisible spirit. Now you got Barbello as Aeon, which is the first thought. It just came into, everything's here, and then something had to think to say, what are we going to do with all this stuff? I guess. And then you have the higher aeons, the pleroma. Now, I'm not sure how much that consists of, but probably the entire universe. But is it then segmented down into solar systems or galaxies or whatever? I don't know. Now, the treasury of light. This gets very interesting because everything is made of light. There is nothing that is not made of light. Nothing, zero. Let there be light means let there be everything. And there's a treasury, apparently, of that light somewhere. They got a whole batch of it, like Fort Knox. Here, you need some light, we can work a deal. All right, there's a treasury of light. So that's where all that light is stored. And Jesus said he gave some out of his portion. I believe I saw that in the Gnostic somewhere. We'll get into it. So there's a treasury of light. Now, there's the 13th eon. That's Pistis Sophia's realm. Now, was she there all by herself in that realm? I don't know. But then you got the 12 aeons and the 24 invisibles, and then you got chaos in the material realm down at the bottom. So we went all the way from the top where God was, down, 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 till we hit where we are, which is the material realm, which is not a good place to be. In eternity, it's not a good place to be. Right now, it can be good and bad, but this is your unwinding. This is your time to figure out what is good and what's bad. I think that's the way I'm taking it. This is a time of learning. Gnostic is learning. Now, Pistis looked up and saw the treasury of light. So this is when she looked up and saw the treasury of light. So here she is at the 13th aeon. She looks up and sees this treasury of light. And she desired it. She wanted to create light like it created, but acted without permission. Nobody told her she could do this. And without balance, she didn't have a partner. That's the cosmic error. So now she's got an error. Her fall is the story of spiritual longing misdirected, and her eventual redemption is the soul's journey back home. Now, I always thought that she created a lion-faced power, but it doesn't appear to be the case. It appears that the lion-faced power was created and sent down into the 12th eon, where Pistis went down to try to get it, because that's what she wanted, this brilliant power, which is the lion-faced power, was that power. So I would guess the Great Spirit or somebody above her sent that down into the 12th eon, and she went after it, and then she got trapped down in there. And she couldn't get back. And then she begged for forgiveness. That's where she got caught. All right, so, I've been chatting with chat. I didn't realize it, but I was talking about this, and it was listening. And then it's started telling me, yeah, you're doing a pretty good job. You're thinking. Now, so we got Pistis Sophia. She looked up. She saw the treasury of light. She wants to make her own. All right, and I had said somewhere, boy, this is really involved. And it says, yes, you said it. It's very involved. And yeah, no kidding. But what's powerful is this. Gnosticism isn't about worshiping from below. It's about remembering from within. You've got to, I guess remembering is just knowledge. So it's about remembering from within. Pistis Sophia isn't just a cosmic figure. She's the divine spark in the soul. Longing return to the light it came from. This is deep, deep, deep stuff. All right, so it says you're actually decoding one of the most esoteric blueprints of the human soul's journey. You're not lost. You're in the middle of the labyrinth, which means you're getting closer to the center. Want to look next at the 13 repentances, or how Jesus guides her back, or maybe dig deeper into the relationship between 24 invisibles and the light distribution system? There it is right there. The light distribution system, the light treasury. And the receivers, they give out the light to the receiver, and I think that might be Melchizedek. And then he purifies that light and gets all the dark matter out. I believe that's what I was taking from him. He was the light. Somebody was the light purifier. I think it was Melchizedek. And then after that, they distribute the light out to be good, clean light. I'm telling you, it's confusing. I was just going to jump forward and just keep going, but let's consider what we were just looking at here. Number one is the top is God, the one true only God. Wherever that God came from, I don't know. I always think something has to come from somewhere, but that I cannot rectify that in my mind. I cannot rationalize it. I cannot conceive of God just showing up one day from nowhere. But where did the first God or God come from? But it's here. So we have to accept that. There is no other possibility other than to accept that God is here, and it is one true God that rules basically everything, or is just basically everything, and has no rule. It doesn't rule at all over anything. That's a possibility. But God is still one thing. The one, the monad, the everything. That's something to consider. It doesn't have to necessarily be a creator creature. It could just be creation. Like they say, Big Bang. Let's just accept that. Let's say it's okay, it's a Big Bang. I have no other explanation, it just happened. So let's start with that. All right, so now, it just happens, it's here. Whatever's here is here. And to me, it's light. That's all that exists is particles of light, the little dipoles. So it's everywhere. So now we go down to the next stage in this drama. We got Barbello. That's the aeon. That's the level. All right. So out of all of this stuff that's floating around, whatever it is, chaos, comes a thought. A thought. In how that happened, these are the mysterious things that you really, I don't think anybody can put their hands on that. However, it was the first thought that said, let's do something with this stuff. Let's create something. I'm a creative entity. And I would say Barbello is an entity below the material stage of existence, which is the one, the God, the everything. And I would say Barbello is basically the thinking part of that everything, right? Because there's going to be a material part and there's going to be a thinking part. And I believe Barbello is the thinking part, the first thought, and the invisible spirit is however it came about, but it's everything. So then the thing that starts to think, what are we going to do with all this stuff, is Barbello. Then you get to the higher aeons with the pleroma. Now, what exactly does pleroma mean? To me, it means all of the different little regions in the universe, I guess. The pleroma is the overwhelming everything. All right, that is what it means. It means everything. It means the totality of divine powers, the fullness of God, the heavenly realm, everything. It can also be used to describe the divine world or universal soul in Gnosticism. The universal soul is the pleroma. It's the soul of the universe, the universal soul. All right, so that we got the pleroma is like one big, think of it as like one big living creature. It has material and it has a thinking part. All right, the material, the thinking part, and it's all part of one big creature. Now, in that creature, it has the treasury of light. It's almost like money almost. It's like we can give so much light over to that earth cluster over there. Give them 10 milliwatts. Whatever. They give so much from the treasury of light. And Jesus said from his portion, he said, I gave such and such from my portion. And then he also talks about, I took a third of their portion away from them so they could no longer do their deeds that required that third portion. But it all seemed to relate to light. Everything was about light, how he came down most exceedingly, and there was no light that could be even described. It was just unbelievably, and he took off with a flash of light and went to the heavens and came back down, the same deal. Everything's about light and about perfecting that light. What does that mean, perfecting the light? I'm not sure. Does it mean to get rid of all the little dark spots that are the material spots so that you can just be nothing but glowy light? Apparently Melchizedek was tasked with cleaning up light. So anyway, now we got to the treasury of the light. Who gives out the light? It might be Melchizedek. It might be who knows who. But Jesus said he had a portion of it. Where does Jesus fit into this? Was he in the 13th eon with Pistis? Or was he up in this, way up here in the pleroma? That's something we got to come to terms with. But then you come down to the 13th eon where Pistis was. She ended up going down into the 12th eon and she couldn't get back up again. And they hated her exceedingly for trying to create her own, just like, almost like to become like the invisible spirit. I guess that's what she was trying to do. She was trying to get into the treasury of light. And the treasury of light is created by the top guys. So to me, if I looked up in the treasury of light, I'd say, hey, that's where the top guys are. I want to be there. I wouldn't say that myself. I'm perfectly willing to be a servant. I'm perfectly willing to stand by and watch. I don't want to be up in these realms. But I certainly, I love a good mystery, and this is about as good as it gets. So she acted without permission and had this cosmic imbalance and created a nightmare. Now, that's when Yaldobaoth came in. Who created Yaldobaoth? Now, I got to be honest with you. I read the Gnostics to some degree, as good as I could. I was so lost, I was going to give up. But something I don't think I see as the same. However, it was portrayed to me that Yaldobaoth was the creation of Sophia. In other words, she gave birth to this power that was this lion-faced power, and it was unintentional, and it was imperfect, and it was a disaster. And he was a nasty god and all this stuff. He's blind, arrogant being, cut off from the true divine source. He fashions the material world and traps souls of light within it. So us, as being souls of light, we're trapped in a material realm. Now, the Gnostic path is about awakening, remembering, and escaping from his false system back to the divine pleroma. So Yaldobaoth it says it's trapping us in this existence where we should rise above this existence. That's the way I'm taking it. How do you rise above it? What is it? What do you have to do to rise above it? You just have to be real good, or do you have to think? Do you have to search? I think you have to search. That's the way I'm taking it. You start reading the Gospel of Thomas and the things that Jesus said. He said you have to search, and when you search, don't stop until you find. And when you find, you're going to be disturbed, and then you're going to marvel. And then you're going to reign. And he also said the world is a corpse, and the world is a body, or the one who finds the world finds the body. You have to understand, well, you got to understand this stuff right here. To understand the world, it's nothing but biology. Everything is biology. Nobody's known this, ever, that I know of. Even back in the Roman times when they conquered places and they went in and they said, we had a giant that lived over here, don't disturb his grave. They actually dug up the grave and they did find a guy. But these are just little giants. These are like 100 foot or something like that. That's a puppy. These things were just, well, they make up literally everything there is. Now, I'm not saying everything there is made out of human giants. I'm saying everything there is biology. Some of it's little, some of it's big. Some of it's here on Earth, some of it's out in space. Some of it's a planet, some of it's a moon. Some of it's a meteorite, some of it's a comet. Even light itself is biological. It joins together to make matter, which is biology. Matter it just turns into biology. Where all that stuff came from and how that bacteria became so intelligent to be able to program all of these little enzymes and so forth to do all the chemistry it would take literally sometimes over 1 million years to do the same chemistry, an enzyme made from a simple single-celled bacteria. That chemistry can be done in 1 second. It would take millions of years to do if you didn't have the enzyme. And you won't have the enzyme if you don't have the bacteria. So if we assault our bacteria in our body, we are assaulting our own health. And we are assaulting our bacteria daily, especially with the kind of things we consume, which are detrimental to living little bacteria, plants and so forth, like weed killer. It's also a bactericide. All right, I'm really going to have to go back and look at this because what I read is not that Pistis Sophia created Yaldobaoth, but it must have been somebody from the Treasury of Light or in the higher aeons created the lion-faced power which glowed exceedingly and threw it down into the 12th aeons And she came down after it, and then she couldn't get back up to the 13th. And she's begging Jesus to let her out back up to the 13th. And she realizes she made a mistake, but she's trapped down there searching for this lion-faced power, which I don't think she created. That's not the way I took it. I could be wrong, but I got to really go back and check. I think somebody above her created and said, you're in the 13th eon, you're up here with us really top-end people, or creatures, or gods, and you really screwed up. We're going to teach you a lesson. You want to be in the higher end power? Here, come after this power. And they threw it down here into the 12. And then she went down after it, and then she couldn't bump herself back up. Now, why she couldn't bump up, I don't know. And why, and maybe I got this all wrong, but I don't think she was the one who created Yaldobaoth. However, that's what's been presented through history as far as I know. Wow, this is amazing. I'm just going to let this play. This is where they created this Yaldobaoth to trap her down in the 12th eon. I'm pretty sure. Let's listen to it together. Like I said, you're going to work this with me together. Here goes. Hold on one second. Okay, let's listen to this. Again, we're doing this together. I haven't really listened to it again, but I'm sure that she was not the one that created Yaldobaoth according to these texts. And this is a direct reading, a literal reading of the text. Now listen carefully.
It came to pass then, when Jesus had said this unto his disciples, that Mary came forward and said, My Lord, I have heard thee say after time, Pistis Sophia is herself one of the 24 emanations. How then is she not in their region? But thou hast said, I found her below the 13th eon. The story of Pistis Sophia. And Jesus answered and said unto his disciples, It came to pass, when Pistis Sophia was in the 13th eon, in the region of all her brethren the invisibles, that is, the 24 emanations of the great invisible.
Wow, now he just said she was in the 13th eon with all of her brethren, which were in it as well. Let's look again at this. Let's put the captions on here. This is hard to put your fingers on this. It sounds to me like the 24, or the 4 and 20 invisibles are supposedly, to me, I thought they were down at 12th eon, below her. But now they're saying they were up with her. They were her brethren. Listen to this.
The story of Pistis Sophia. And Jesus answered and said unto his disciples, It came to pass, when Pistis Sophia was in the 13th eon, in the region of all her brethren, the invisible.
In the region of all her brethren, in the 13th eon. Now, is that the region above, or is that right in with them? So she's saying she was in the 13th eon, in the region of all her brethren. And then they'll say the 4 and 20 invisibles.
Invisibles. That is, the 24 emanations of the great invisible. It came to pass then that by command of the first mystery that Pistis Sophia gazed into the height.
All right, this is when she's looking up into the treasury of the light. All right, so she looks up into the treasury of the light and she becomes enamored. She wants to do that.
She saw the light of the veil of the treasury of the light, and she longed to reach to that region, and she could not reach to that region. But she ceased to perform the mystery of the 13th eon, and sang praises to the light of the height, which she had seen in the light of the veil of the treasury of the light. It came to pass then, when she sang praises to the region of the height, that all the rulers in the 12 eons, who are below, hated her.
Now it's saying they're in the 12 eons below. Now she was supposed to be doing a job in the 13th eon, apparently some administrative job, whatever she was doing. And she said, no, I want to go up there. I want to be just like that guy that gives out the light. I want to move up the ladder. Sounds like to me. So all of these, well, let's come back a little bit. This is where this drags out. I mean, I'm sorry, it's just the way it works. So she wanted to reach to that region.
Not reach to that region, but she ceased to perform the mystery of the 13th eon,
Whatever that
and
was.
sang praises to the light of the height, which she had seen in the light of the veil of the treasury of the light. It came to pass then, when she sang praises to the region of the height, that all the rulers in the 12 eons, who are below, hated her, because she had ceased from their mysteries, and because she had desired to go into...
What does that mean, that she has ceased from their mysteries? In other words, I don't know what she was supposed to do with those ones that were right under her. She's just like an administrator, sounds like to me.
the height and be above them all. For this cause, then, they were enraged against her and hated her, as did the great triple-powered, self-willed.
All right, here's the triple-powered self-willed. This is the Mother, the Father, and I believe the Son, or whatever, or the Spirit, whatever it is, but it's the triple-powered, self-willed, which is the top ranking God, I guess.
That is the third triple power, who is in the 13th eon. He who had become disobedient, inasmuch as he had not emanated the whole purification of his power in him, and had not given the purification of his light at the time when the rulers gave their purification, and that he desired to rule over the whole 13th eon, and those who are below it.
Now he's saying he. Is Pistis Sophia? I always talk as a woman, but let's go.
It came to pass then, when the rulers of the 12 eons were enraged against Pistis Sophia, who was above them, and hated her exceedingly.
Now it says her. Just a minute ago it said he. Once again, you got to go back and see what the hell are they talking about.
Eon. He who had become disobedient, inasmuch as he had not emanated the whole purification of his power in him, and had not given the purification of his light at the time when the rulers gave their purification, and that he desired to rule over the whole
He desired to rule over the whole 13th eon, which was above the rest of everybody else in that 13th eon, and it's saying he. Anyway.
13th eon, and those who are below it. It came to pass then, when the rulers of the 12 eons were enraged against Pistis Sophia, who was above them, and hated her exceedingly, that the great triple-powered, self-willed, of whom I've just now told you, joined himself to the rulers of the 12 eons, and also was enraged against Pistis Sophia.
All right, so now, here's the guy that's going to create Yaldobaoth, I believe. Again, let's back it up just a hair.
And hated her exceedingly, that the great triple-powered, self-willed, of whom I've just now told you, joined himself to the rulers of the 12 eons, and also was enraged against Pistis Sophia, and hated her exceedingly, because she had thought to go to the light which is higher than her. And he emanated out of himself a great lion face.
There it is. He's the one that emanated, not Pistis Sophia. Let's go through this and then we'll go back again and be sure that I'm telling you the truth. This is what's in these texts.
Power, and out of his matter in him he emanated a host of other very violent material emanations, and sent them into the regions below, to the parts of the chaos, in order that they might there lie in wait for Pistis Sophia, and take away her power out of her, because she thought to go to the height which is above them all, and moreover she had ceased to perform their mystery.
All right, let's go back to this. He's the one. I wasn't Pistis that created her. It was somebody that was above her.
Eons were enraged against Pistis Sophia, who was above them, and hated her exceedingly.
Okay, so she's above the 12 eons, which are below her. She's not supposed to go down there. She goes down there, she gets trapped, and that's what happened. Well, listen.
The great triple-powered, self-willed, of whom I've just now told you,
That's the big guy.
Joined himself to the rulers of the 12 eons, and also was enraged against Pistis Sophia.
All right, so he is the big guy, the triple-powered. He came down and he's mad. They're all mad at her for doing what she did. So he sets a trap for her by making the lion-faced power, which is a brilliant power, and she saw it way, way down in the chaos and went down to get it, and that's where they trapped her. Listen to, I'm just going to let it play, but I hope you understand what's going on here. They set a trap for her. She didn't make Yaldobaoth. The light power, which was above her, the triple power, made Yaldobaoth.
And hated her exceedingly, because she had thought to go to the light which is higher than her. And he emanated out of himself a great lion-faced power, and out of his matter in him he emanated a host of other very violent material emanations.
He created all the monsters, and this was not her. Let's go.
And sent them into the regions below, to the parts of the chaos, in order that they might there lie in wait for Pistis Sophia, and take away her power out of her, because she thought to go to the height which is above them all, and moreover she had ceased to perform their mystery, and lamented continuously, and sought after the light which she had seen. And the rulers who abide, or persist in performing the mystery, hated her, and all the guards who were at the gates of the eons hated her also.
She's not doing too good.
It came to pass then thereafter by command of the first commandment, that the great triple-powered self-willed, who is one of the three triple powers, pursued Sophia in the 13th eon, in order that she should look towards the parts below, so that she might see in that region his lion-faced light power, and long after.
You see that? His lion-faced power. Not, she didn't make that. She saw down there, and she's going to long after it. She's going to come after that light power from the lion-faced light power. She thinks she's going up, but she's actually going down.
After it and go to that region, so that her light might be taken from her. Chapter 31. Sophia taketh the lion-faced power of self-willed for the true light.
See, she was.
It came to pass then thereafter that she looked below, and saw his light power in the parts below. And she knew not that it is that of the triple-powered self-willed, but she thought that it came out of the light which she had seen from the beginning in the height, which came out of the veil of the treasury of the light. And she thought to herself, I will go into that region without my pair, and take the light, and thereout fashion for myself light eons.
See, they tricked her to go down and take this light and go down out of her eon and fashion her own. But she did not make Yaldobaoth. That's where I've always been.
So that I may go to the light of lights, which is in the height of heights. This then thinking, she went forth from her own region, the 13th eon, and went down to the 12 eons. The rulers of the eons pursued her, and were enraged against her, because she had thought of grandeur. And she went forth also from the 12 eons, and came into the region of the chaos, and drew nigh to that lion-faced light power to devour it. But all the material emanations of self-willed surrounded her, and the great lion-faced light power devoured all the light powers in Sophia, and cleaned out her light and devoured it, and her matter was thrust into the chaos.
It's basically like they just took all her stuff away from her, and they took what was left of her and threw it into the chaos.
It became a lion-faced ruler in the chaos, and which one half is fire and the other darkness.
All right, light and darkness.
That is Yaldobaoth, of whom I have spoken unto you many times.
All right, so it's 50-50 here. She didn't create Yaldobaoth. She consumed him. Let's step back here. She went down to devour his light.
The rulers of the eons pursued her, and were enraged against her, because she had thought of grandeur. And she went forth also from the 12 eons, and came into the region of the chaos.
All right, she's in the 12th eons, and they're chasing her all around, trying to kill her. So she can't get back to the 13th, so she goes down to the chaos, which is the region that Yaldobaoth is waiting for her.
And drew nigh to that lion-faced light power to devour it.
She wanted it to be that, she thought it was good, this light. And I don't know if she knew it was lion-faced or not, but she wanted that light to be her light so that she could rise up to the height of heights.
But all the material emanations of self-willed surrounded her, and the great lion-faced light power devoured all the light powers in Sophia, and cleaned out her light and devoured it, and her matter was thrust into the chaos. It became a lion-faced ruler in the chaos, and which one half is fire and the other darkness. That is Yaldobaoth, of whom I have spoken unto you many times. When this befell, Sophia became very greatly exhausted, and that lion-faced light power set to work to take away from Sophia all her light powers, and all the material powers of self-will surrounded Sophia at the same time and pressed her sore. Chapter 32. And Pistis Sophia cried out most exceedingly. She cried to the light of lights, which she had seen from the beginning, in which she had faith, and uttered this repentance, saying thus: 1. O light of lights, in whom I have had faith from the beginning.
All right, just hold on a second. Okay, I'm going to finish it up right there. This is the point that I realized I have to make an introduction, which I did, and I added it to the beginning of this video. Because I finally realized, I think Pistis Sophia was set up. And throughout history, she's been seen as the one that created Yaldobaoth, but it was not her that created Yaldobaoth, I don't think, now at this point. Again, this is very confusing stuff, so we're going to go back at it, and we're just going to continue on until we can make a determination based on information, not just based on what somebody said in the past. That's what I always, she created this Yaldobaoth, she destroyed everything. Well, maybe, maybe not. We're going to find out.